Hello, friends. This is Anthony from Forest Ghost Conversations. Are you looking to get into the podcast game yourself? Well, if you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, let me tell you, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Let me explain. Anchor has some tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Then, when hosting on Anchor, you can even distribute your podcast on listening platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many, many more places. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. And get this, everyone, best of all, Anchor is totally free. Just download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Hello there. Welcome to this episode of Forest Ghost Conversations. This is your host, Anthony King, and this week I'm going to take a deep dive look into the Light and Magic trailer. Before we get started, I'm inviting you to join the conversation with us. We can be found on Twitter at Forest Ghost Pod. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok just by searching Forest Ghost Conversations. We look forward to connecting with you on those platforms. Also, please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on your listening site of choice. And without further ado, it is time to gather around the campfire for some Forest Ghost Conversations. Okay, everyone, welcome back to another episode of Forest Ghost Conversations. As alluded in the preamble, this episode is predominantly going to discuss the Light and Magic trailer, the upcoming docuseries that will be on Disney Plus starting on July 27th, so less than a week at the time after the time of this recording. Before we get into the Light and Magic trailer discussion, I wanted to get into some of the news that came out this past week in the Star Wars galaxy in our Cloud City Gossip segment. First, the Disney Wish, the newest cruise ship from the Disney Cruise Line, has set sail on its maiden voyage this past week. The ship features some state-of-the-art Star Wars activities, such as the cargo bay, where kids take on the important role of creature handlers as they learn to manage various creatures in the Star Wars galaxy, such as porgs and lothcats, as well as the Hyperspace Lounge, a Star Wars-themed bar for adults. Be sure to check out StarWars.com for a rundown of the various libations offered at this bar. Also, for those in the geekdom and fandom world, San Diego Comic-Con 2022 has been taking place this weekend. Star Wars was featured in many ways at the convention, with several costume displays from the latest and upcoming Disney Plus series and a litany of new action figures announced. Again, be sure to check out StarWars.com for some pictures of those costumes and a listing of the new action figures that will hit stores soon. Furthermore, San Diego Comic-Con 2022 featured a Lucasfilm Publishing panel. Now, at the panel, we received a first look at the cover for George Mann's upcoming audio drama, The Battle of Jedha, which is set during Phase 2 of the High Republic era. A variety of other teases and covers for upcoming comics and books were highlighted during the panel. Finally, Star Wars has officially confirmed that Amandla Stenberg will have a leading role in the upcoming Disney Plus series, Star Wars: The Acolyte. The series will take place about 100 years prior to the events of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. And although we do not have any further details on Stenberg's character at this time, we look forward to adding them to the Star Wars family. And on the other side of this break, we'll be back with our main topic for today, a deep dive look at that Light and Magic trailer. We'll be right back, folks. All right, everyone, we are back, and it's time to get into the meat and potatoes of our episode. Yes, looking at the Light and Magic trailer. I don't know about you at home, but I certainly am really, really excited for this docuseries. Industrial Light and Magic has been a name that has obviously been around for almost 50 years now, but as a Star Wars fan, that name has almost been synonymous with excellence and perfection in my mind. It is a group of ragtag people that has made dreams become a reality. Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and hundreds of other films that we know, love, and cherish would not be what they are today if it wasn't for the advanced effects, visually, practically, what have you, that ILM helped to establish and create. I mean, Star Wars, all the Star Wars films is just one great example. The Indiana Jones films, anything Lucasfilm touched, right? Willow, of course, too, in there. But even epic films within the Marvel Cinematic Universe now. The Transformers films, I believe, also had work by ILM. I believe, don't quote me on this, but I think that the Davy Jones from Pirates of the Caribbean is certainly a triumph of CG that I think Light and Magic had Industrial Light and Magic had a hand in. It's an incredible story. I'm glad that it's being told in this format. Disney Plus is certainly the space and avenue where we can have these wonderful stories be told in an appropriate manner. But like I said, like Industrial Light and Magic is central to understanding Star Wars. It's central to understanding the film industry over the last 50 years. And it's essential to understanding where the film industry is going because they're always pushing the bounds of what new technology is. They're looking at new ways to craft stories, how to bring our dreams, our visions, our hopes into a reality, make it set in stone. And this really all comes from the brainchild of George Lucas and a bunch of ragtag people from the mid to late 70s in California. There, it's a fascinating story. Again, I'm glad it's being told. I first became really aware of ILM. I've talked about this a little bit on the podcast before, but included with the 2004 re-release of the special editions that George did a little bit more edits to. In that DVD box set, there is a fantastic documentary about the making of the original trilogy called Empire of Dreams. Now, you can stream this documentary on Disney Plus now instead of just having to watch it or get that DVD set. I would imagine it's on the Blu-rays in some way, shape, or form. And I love that documentary, by the way. I watch it a couple times a year, probably. It's wonderful. If you haven't watched it yet, please pause this and go to your Disney Plus account because I hope you have it by this point. After Boba Fett, Mandalorian, Bad Batch, Visions, Kenobi, what are you doing if you don't have one yet? Light and Magic comes out less than a week from now. Get ready for it. It's a lot of great stuff coming for Star Wars, as you know. But go watch that, and you will see how integral Light and Magic is, or Industrial Light and Magic is, in creating what Star Wars actually is. Right? It's so much in George's head what Star Wars is, and then to turn that what's theoretical in his brain, and then create what is seen on the screen. It goes through a lot of hands, a lot of processes, a lot of creative ideas, a lot of failures. Right? It is what is required in order to get from point A to point B. And frankly, the miracle working that is done at Industrial Light and Magic always astounds me. And the fact that they were able to put all this together with the very minimal special effects and visual effects that were in the Hollywood game at that time in the mid 70s there, the world is frankly for the better for it. And you get to know the names of these people through that documentary that are very featured and prominent within the Light and Magic trailer thus far, which we'll get to in a moment here. You get the great names such as Joe Johnston, Phil Tippett, Dennis Muren, John Dykstra. and that the baton has been carried even further by the likes of like John Knoll and such, right? Fantastic work. So if this is your first time listening to Force Ghost Conversations, welcome. For those that have been here before, especially for when I do like a trailer discussion, this is kind of old hat for you at this point. You kind of can assume where I'm going with this. But I like to do a like watch along of the trailer first. I have my notes separately here about the trailer, some things separately that I've watched previously with the captions on that I wanted to make sure that I wrote down beforehand to talk a little bit more in depth later. But what I'm hoping to do here is I've got it queued up on YouTube here. I'm going to play it in just a few moments here, go through the entire trailer, share my thoughts and opinions in a live commentary reaction mode. I'm going to talk through it because obviously this is a auditory medium. Yeah, right. We're not at the point where this is a visual podcast, a video podcast, if you will. So I'm going to talk about what I see here, and then we're going to discuss it a bit more. But if you at home want to follow along yourself, feel free to pause the episode right now, pull up your computer, pull up your iPad, another phone, another device, whatever you got on your TV screen, something that is connected to the internet and YouTube probably. Pull up, search Light and Magic. You'll get a bunch of different hits for it. I personally am on the Lucasfilm YouTube channel. And if you want to watch along, let's do it. If you want to react, or so you know what I'm kind of reacting to, I'll do my best to talk through things that are happening as they occur. That would be cool. So anyways, you've been forewarned. I'm going to continue talking about this trailer here. And I'm going to start the trailer in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hit and play. All right, we got the Lucasfilm logo. Hearing George Lucas and seeing these great images of these classic films. Movies are special effects. Yep, very true, George. A little bit of Ron Howard here. Again, the Avengers. See Steven Spielberg. These are some classic hitters here. Going through all the accolades, and we're going to talk about these accolades here. Jim Cameron, of course. Oh, I love that. The pod race. Whew. Their story will finally be told. Ooh, a little bit of young George, too, going to pop up in here. I wonder if we're going to get some new interviews of George that we haven't had before. I just love this kind of like 70s hard rock song that's playing in the background here. It's very Bachman Turner Overdrive like. You can really tell that there's a great culture that they have on set working as a team here, putting these films together. I'm glad that people want to come to ILM. It looks like you guys are having a great time. People they'll go to work cultures that are fun and inviting. A lot of great people here. Deborah Chow, Jon Favreau. Just a casual drop of Pixar and Photoshop. Even beyond the world of Star Wars and Indiana Jones and the Lucasfilm bubble, the impact of Industrial Light and Magic cannot be understated at all. A little bit of Doug Chiang. We'll talk about his quote a little bit here too. Again, back to Ron Howard, showing some of those creature models, the Rancor. Oh yeah, they were honestly, they are the Rebel Alliance. So Light and Magic original docuseries premiering on Disney Plus this coming July 27th. I believe it's 6 episodes in total. And all the episodes are dropping at once, so it's not like it's going to be a week-to-week thing like all the others, for the most part, all the other Star Wars properties have been to this point. And this is the first really Star Wars based well, no, I take that back. This isn't the first Star Wars based documentary. Of course, The Gallery was a big documentary series that was week to week in the Star Wars galaxy. So this is really in follow up to what The Gallery is, and I hope we get more galleries as more Star Wars things come out. There's a lot that's going on in this trailer, and something that I really appreciated was when it first dropped, and I got to show it to my wife, and she just got so emotional. I know she has only heard like minimal things about the impacts of Industrial Light and Magic, but to see the people, see the stories behind it, connect it to those like incredible films that are showcased here that the team has worked on that have made an impact on her life too, and how it made her, this trailer even made her emotional, as well as myself too. And that's all I ever want. It's just something that really just touches that inner child within all of us that wants to dream and wonder and make our visions and dreams a reality. That's really at the heart of what Industrial Light and Magic is. And I'm very thankful for George Lucas in creating this subsidy of Lucasfilm that is still pushing the bounds and boundaries of what is possible for film industry and beyond. So honestly, you gotta start the trailer. If you go back and watch it again, continue it, it should, and it rightfully so, starts with none other than the man, the myth, the legend himself, George Lucas. What would this all be without the man behind all of it? It's George Lucas. And he's talking about how there wasn't really visual effects before, or at least a big visual effects company system in the Hollywood game at that point, when in the mid 70s, when Star Wars was coming together. So he literally, out of necessity, had to create this, which is just fascinating how far it's come over the last 50 years. Within that sizzle reel and all throughout the trailer, you get to see these like clips of iconic films that Industrial Light and Magic has worked on over the last couple of years. You see Iron Man, you see clips from the Avengers, so Marvel Cinematic Universe. Of course, all the Star Wars films are featured. Some of like the pod race and an Endor. Indiana Jones is also super prominent and involved. There's of course the iconic scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is the intro where the boulder chases him out of that that tunnel, that cave, if you will, right, when he's retrieving the fertility idol. Willow, another Lucasfilm property, pops up there. We also see things like the Transformers films, the Davy Jones CGI transformation in Pirates of the Caribbean 2 and 3. There's just so much that Industrial Light and Magic has been a part of. And I will always say, too, when Disney bought Lucasfilm, and of course that involves all the subsidiaries that are a part of Lucasfilm, I personally think that they went in trying to buy Industrial Light and Magic just so that was in-house at Disney. I firmly believe that too. So that means the Marvel Cinematic Universe can make use of their work services a lot easier. That means they're more open to the new live-action Disney properties. And if you ask me, if you look at those Disney films since the Lucasfilm purchase in 2012, these films have pretty good CGI, if you ask me. And as we continue to improve with visual effects, special effects, practical effects, what have you, in terms of the Disney brand, I think it's only getting better and better. So George Lucas also makes a great line. He says, something to the extent of the magic that makes people want to go see movies is visual effects. Couldn't agree more. It's what makes the escapism possible of the cinema, especially for these like science fiction films, space fantasy, action adventure. All these genres are only bolstered by the visual, special, and practical effects work that is done behind the scenes for these films. It helps to separate them from the rest of the pack. It helps to create a narrative for them. It helps to establish what the world is for and separate it from other worlds, right? I hear all the time, like, Star Trek, Star Wars, people get them confused, stuff like that. Is like, no, if you watch them, there's clearly a cinematic language for both of them. Very different overall, even though I believe that ILM might have worked on Wrath of Khan and other Star Trek films. Don't quote me on that, but again, it's a clear narrative between all these different worlds, and visual effects helps to create that boundary, if you ask me. Now, the series has a lot of heavy hitters behind the scenes, of course. This is a series that comes directly from the minds of Lawrence Kasdan, Brian Grazer, and Ron Howard as executive producers. Lawrence Kasdan, of course, is a renowned name in the Lucasfilm world, having written The Empire Strikes Back. I believe he co-wrote Return of the Jedi, or wrote Return of the Jedi. Don't quote me on that. I should look at the poster behind me. Screenplay by Lawrence Kasdan. That's correct. See, it's always helpful when you have a poster of the film that you're in question about right behind you in your studio office, so that you can check it out and confirm right then and there. He's a co-writer on The Force Awakens. He's a co-writer on Solo, a Star Wars story. And he's the writer of Raiders of the Lost Ark. So he's made a name for himself, and that's just the writing aspect. I know he's directed and written other films too. Brian Grazer, of course, is like the longtime producing partner with Ron Howard. And of course, there's Ron Howard in general, who is a renowned director and actor too, for that regard. His connections to Lucasfilm are strong, going all the way back to American Graffiti, where he was one of the main actors there. He also directed Willow, which is a film that is very near and dear to my heart, and it's getting an upcoming series, which we will be talking about here on Force Ghost Conversations. He came in to pinch hit direct for Solo, a Star Wars story, when the original directors left the project. And he was, of course, rumored, I believe, to direct The Phantom Menace back in the day at one point in time. So these are people that have been involved with Industrial Light and Magic. They are very aware of their story and the people connected to the organization, the institution that is Industrial Light and Magic, and who helped create the culture that is that business. And of course, we get a lot of other directors in this, and people that are important in the film industry, that are just applauding the work, giving real credence to, if you didn't believe it just by seeing all the visual things of like what they've worked on, as well as those impactful moments within those films. You have the heavy hitting directors of Robert Zemeckis, George Lucas, James Cameron, and Steven Spielberg, ladies and gentlemen. A little bit of Spielberg in this trailer. Leave it to the geniuses at ILM, he says. Exactly. Trust them. When have they ever proved us wrong? They haven't yet. In fact, they only keep pushing the bounds of it all. Later on, you're going to see the new heavy hitters that are at Lucasfilm. Deborah Chow, Jon Favreau. These people, they're continuing to push the bounds of what is cinema and what is storytelling. And ILM is right beside them, helping to craft that vision. It's really inspiring and helpful and really cool, if you ask me. Now, they've been in the business, as noted in the trailer, I think they say they've been 47 years in the business, but I'm going to round it up. About 50 years later, they've got 16 Oscars to their credit, and they've worked on over 350 films. Those are not minimal numbers to begin with, ladies and gentlemen. That is really, really astounding, and I hope that they go into like the specific work. Within the 6 episodes, I hope that it's not just like Star Wars focused. I hope that a few of them are, but I want to see what else they've contributed to the world of cinema beyond Star Wars and Indiana Jones, which I think they will. It makes sense that they would talk about maybe something about the Marvel Cinematic Universe and their entries in that. So that would be really great. I want to, especially over the course of the 6 episodes. within this, there are some big names within Industrial Light and Magic that I've come to know from watching Empire of Dreams that are consistent within this, quick 2-minute trailer. Joe Johnston, Phil Tippett, Dennis Muren, John Dykstra. Great that they're going to, and of course many others that we will come to know over the course of this series that maybe didn't get their time in the sun for various other reasons. Their stories are going to be brought to the forefront and told in this really compelling and grappling manner, which I am so excited to dive into and just soak up all of their wisdom, knowledge, experiences, tales, and have it be codified in true in the importance of the Star Wars and film industry story. Exciting, really can't wait to see it. Over the course of the trailer, again, I've noted this a lot when I was watching it and I believe in the preamble too, where I just keep saying, like, this is clearly a ragtag group of people that were coming together to make dreams a reality. This is definitely the case, if you ask me. Watch the trailer again. It just has that homely, cozy environment of just a bunch of people, and it looks like they're in their mid-20s or so, fresh out of maybe film school or something like that, or their various industries that they came from prior to working at Industrial Light and Magic. George told them what the Star Wars is, and they went away with it and tried to create as something as similar to the vision that he had set forth as possible, probably taking inspiration from the Ralph McQuarrie concept art and going from there. But from those clips and images that they're showing in this trailer, it sounds like, and it looked like everyone was having a great time. They were creating a fun culture environment to be on. And I like that quote at the end. We are the Rebel Alliance. We were tasked with this almost impossible thing with a bunch of people that basically had no experience, that were creating the book as they were doing it. Fascinating and absolutely wild, but it looks like they're having fun doing it, and it just makes it it's an underdog story of it all. It makes you want to root for these people at the end of the day to achieve what they eventually do achieve in all these films and subsequent success that they've had. So Light and Magic overall is going to be a 6-part event. All the episodes drop on July 27th on Disney Plus, so be sure to check that out. It's going to be upcoming on a Friday. But something else that they do note further on in the episode, in this trailer, is that they are still pushing tech further. John Knoll just casually drops here, like, one thing led to another, and that led to the creation of Photoshop. You telling me that you randomly just created Photoshop on a whim? Something that is so integral to literally everything we do now with the advent of social media and how important pictures and images are to that medium. Yeah, big deal. Look, they've had a hand in creating the volume, which is essential to the film industry nowadays as streaming services have risen and the cost and production of those series are a hot topic right now. The effects they've done in terms of computer graphics are leaps and bounds ahead of competitors. And also, George just casually drops, Pixar is a subsidiary of Industrial Light and Magic that was created out of, working through the computer graphics. And obviously, if you're a fan of Disney and you're aware of that story, Pixar eventually becomes its own thing and leads itself to the many wonderful animated films that have come along the way, such as Toy Story, most recently Lightyear, which it's a fantastic film. We might do a discussion about connections between Lightyear and Toy Story franchise and Star Wars on an upcoming episode. That'd be pretty cool. So Doug Chiang, who works currently at Lucasfilm, and he's been there since the mid-90s working on The Phantom Menace, as he does a lot of the concept artwork for those films and series that are currently being worked on and past. He says, I want to work with people that inspire me, and that is the spirit of ILM. And that's a great way to conclude really all of this here. They've set forth this wonderful culture that is inspirational and just invites others to want to be a part of that and to work together collaboratively. That's how you really create a wonderful work culture and environment where people want to show up to work. They have fun being there. They feel supported. They feel like they're contributing to some great endpoint that is being set forth for them. even if the task seems too daunting. That's just incredible. Look, this series was one of those that was added to the Star Wars Celebration. It was a main panel on that Friday at Star Wars Celebration. Unfortunately, I didn't get to attend, but this is really a big standout for me. Hearing the great tidbits that came out from that panel, but we didn't get to see really if any leaks of like video or stuff like that. I don't know if the trailer was even played there, whatnot. And then I knew we were eventually, because we knew it was this series was coming out in July at some point. And now that we finally have a trailer, I know I'm a little late to the game probably in talking about it, but I knew I wanted to get to it eventually. I wanted to discuss this. We're going to talk about all each of the episodes. I hope to do each one individually here on Force Ghost Conversations to really dive into this wonderful story that I'm so excited that is finally going to be put on a streaming service so that everybody around the world where Disney Plus is available can react to this wonderful tale. So July 27th, ladies and gentlemen, Disney Plus is the place to be. All 6 episodes will be dropping. I don't want to spoil anything. I have no spoilers whatsoever for this series. I've just seen several of our friends who got screeners for this have posted their reactions online on social media. They've posted reviews about the first couple of episodes, I think. And everyone has been overwhelmingly positive so far about Light and Magic, which I was kind of expecting that. Nothing about this has led me to believe that it wouldn't be that. I am so excited for this series overall, and I hope you are at home too, because we're really going to dive deep into it over the next couple of weeks here as the series comes out on Disney Plus. And with that, everybody, that's all that I had for this week. Those were all of my musings about this wonderful Light and Magic trailer. July 27th cannot come soon enough. I am so excited for the series, and I imagine you can probably sense at home my enthusiasm for all things industrial light and magic. So with that, everyone, we'll be back next week with a brand new episode about something in the Star Wars galaxy. Thanks again for coming to listen to this episode of Force Ghost Conversations. Be sure to spread the word, tell your friends and family about our podcast. We'd love to continue growing the proverbial seats around the campfire that is Force Ghost Conversations. Be sure to follow us on all the social media platforms, Twitter at Force Ghost Pod, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Just search Force Ghost Conversations, and we will pop up in the search one way or another. And be sure to connect with us on those platforms. We love to continue the conversation and to see what you're all thinking about this series. And with that, that'll be it for this week's episode. Thanks again for listening, everybody. Take care. May the Force be with you.